Hello, everyone. This is Chris again, and today I've decided to start a new series on Path of Exile. And just to get it out of the way, this isn't really going to be a guide at all because even though I put in quite a few hours recently, it still feels like I'm fairly new to this game. And I think a lot of people feel that way about Path of Exile, so this is going to be kind of a more just a fun run. We have Trial of the Ancients, or Trial of the Ancestors coming out soon, and Crucible's coming to an end. Exilecon 2023 was looking really good for this game. Diablo 4 came out recently. I played through the campaign of that. I was going to try and upload more videos for that, but Diablo 4, it really didn't do it for me. There's a lot to cover for that game. It just really, I wasn't hyped out about it from the beginning, and just I remember playing the beta weekends, the first one that came out, and then I gave it a try and I thought, okay, there's potential here. There's a few things that aren't really all that fun. And then I played for the second beta weekend, and that's when they released the Necromancer and the Druid, and I thought, man, they've made the ugliest characters for this game. And then what little excitement I had for Diablo 4 kind of just went out the window. I think around that time, a friend of mine, Aaron, we started playing Path of Exile. We played on Ruthless. It was really our first attempt at giving the game much of a try, and we got through, and then I kind of helped him along the way, and then he quit because he's not really the type to finish games. And then he waited about a month or so before giving me all the items that we gathered together. But by then I kind of started playing on just the league game because I wanted to try out a few different builds. So by then it was pretty useless, and then maybe 2 months after that, he decided to give it another try. We made new characters. We got through Act 2, and then he's like, okay, don't play anymore because we should just have these characters play together. And then he went and quit again. So he's talking about joining for when Trial of the Ancestors comes out. I don't think he's going to, but hey, give him another chance. I probably am just gonna end up playing the way I usually do, like finding people to play online with, because as far as like a gaming partner goes, it's not really reliable. Anyway, enough ranting about that. I think I'm going to try, let's see, I've ended up deleting most of the characters that I have here. This was just like the first Ruthless character that I made. This was the most recent one that I was going to play with him. We kind of picked our own build, and then we were only going to play together, and then he just bowed out. So these characters are probably going to be deleted fairly soon because there's nothing really special about them. The Flaming Chief was going to be the Righteous Fire build that I found on a few sites. The Lightbound guy was going to be a light-based tank guy, but that's just kind of sitting there now. So I think I'm going to stick with the standard league because I want to try and get through this as quick as I can and just sort of have fun with the build instead of just waiting for all these support gems to come out. So I think this time I'm going to try. Okay, so if you're new to Path of Exile, there's your three main stats: your dexterity, your intellect, and your strength. So your strength character is the Marauder, your dexterity character is the Ranger here, and the intellect character is the Witch. The Duelist is a combination between, I think, strength and dexterity, maybe. The Templar is strength and intellect, and the Shadow is, I think, dexterity and intellect. So you have your hybrids, and then the Ascendant, or not the Ascendant, the Scion here, which if you are playing this game for the first time and you don't see her here, or you can't pick her, what you have to do is you have to get through to the end of Act 3, and in the tower leading up to the boss, she's in the cage there. You free her, and then you can pick her if you want. She kind of starts out in the middle of the huge tree there, and you can basically go any route with her, and then decide where you want to go from there. So I think I'm going to go with the... What sounds like fun? You know, I haven't ever really tried the Templar much, or the Duelist, or the Shadow. Let's see. I think I'm going to try going the Shadow and go Trap build. So let's call this one Trap Master Delaire, because I always put Delaire there, and just put TC for the Crucible. So they give you a little introduction here, and we don't really need to hear that, but yeah, so Crucible is still going on. It's still going on for I think 11 more days. Let's see how far I get with this guy. So let's go Traps and just see how we go there. So this is gonna kind of be fun. I'm just gonna really wing it and just see how well I do.
Like a brisk dip to start the day.
So in Path of Exile, you started on the beach. There's a few things that you can do when you're first starting. So one of the things that people really recommend is getting an item filter. There's a few ways. You can go to Filter Blade and try and figure out that. Or if you go directly to the Path of Exile website and link your accounts through Steam to that, you can really just look up the filters there, find one, and it's probably the easiest way to do it. But it also is relying entirely on you taking somebody else's filter, not really knowing a lot about it, and then just jumping in there. So that's basically it for that. So you can get an item filter. I have one going. There's a few things that I like to change when I first start. I like putting the attack as the right mouse click button, and then making the left mouse click button my move. So this way, if I want to move, if I have an enemy here that is right in my path, I'm not going to go in and attack it. I will just move, and it can easily move around it. And then my right mouse click button is attack. So I also like disabling tutorials, because I've already seen them. Auto equip. I don't really see any problem with that. The only thing that I would recommend turning auto equip off for is if you're going a flask build and you're using the poison concoction or the explosive concoction, because anytime you pick up a weapon, all of a sudden you can't use that ability anymore. So that would be the only reason to really have auto equip turned off, as far as I know. Lockstep, I'm not really sure what that does. Graphics, I have it set pretty decently, and yeah, that's all good. There's no cap for foreground. I have the background cap. That's yeah, I'm just gonna leave that on. Most of this is auto set through the NVIDIA background launcher, or the NVIDIA experience, so I don't really need to mess with that too. I have it set to a really, basically everything is max, because the video card is not really a demanding game until you reach the end and everything just lights up the screen so much. So anyway, that basically takes care of most. The UI, not a lot really to mess with here. I like to set my map zoom out as far as it can go, because it actually affects whether you have it on the main area here or in the corner. So I like seeing as far as you can, and then if I'm really trying to find hidden area, not hidden areas, but like areas that I haven't explored in a map, or trying to find that one little path, it's easy enough to set it to the main screen, but otherwise I try to keep it in the corner. Landscape transparency, I usually have that set fairly low, because it's not really that important. Some people I've seen play have that turned completely off, because the background is not all that important, but I kind of like seeing just a little bit there. I don't want to set all the way to the max, because it covers too much, so I like setting that pretty... And I like the map transparency to be set to the highest. The camera rotation, I don't really like my map rotating at all. I think that's what it does. I'm not sure. I usually just leave that off anyway. Hide remove only tabs. This comes into play at the end of a season. Usually for your standard, because right now if you go to your stash, it doesn't really matter. Hide your mana reservation. That's not really important right now. Yeah, this is all very basic. I like having the meter above my head. That way I don't have to constantly look at the right and left corner. And I think that's enough. So let's get into the game a little bit. So the first thing you do is pick up the weapon, and then you can talk to the dying exile. He says this little blurb there, then he
We're the only ones that made it.
basically starts getting eaten by this guy. You kill him and you get your first ability. So,
Is it possible to murder someone who's already dead?
this is different for whichever class you're playing. For the Shadow, you get Viper Strike, which is a pretty strong melee attack. And I usually like setting it to this. I actually set the middle mouse button here because when you get another ability, this is usually the default area it puts the second one. I rarely use the middle mouse button until I get a buff, and then that's what I usually set there, just to make it a little bit easier for buff. Anyway, you go through, you fight a few enemies. You can either rush right to the boss here, or you can kill a few enemies to try and get a level up. I generally prefer to get the level up, and one thing you'll notice is that your mana goes down pretty quickly in the beginning if you're just using your ability and not using your attack. Okay, there's our first support ability. So support abilities will take, you can see where it says supportable skills there, and then the check. If you're putting something in that you're not sure if it affects the skill, turning that on in your UI, it will let you know. Actually, let's just cover that now. So that would be under... Let's see here. Okay, so if you go under Game, UI, and then Support Gem Utility Pop-Up, this lets you see that check mark. If you don't have it there, and you mouse over, you don't see anything. So I usually like having it checked just because it's a little bit easier. You don't always, until you've put in like 1,000 hours or something, you're not going to have everything memorized. So this will give my Viper Strike a chance to poison, and you can see that, so before, you see 60% of physical damage convert to chaos, 60% chance to poison a hit. Okay, so it doesn't actually seem to have done anything, because the Viper Strike already had a chance to hit. So I guess chance to poison is not really useful for this ability, but once you start getting other ones, then chance to poison might be useful. So it's actually a fairly useless support ability to get at the beginning. And you can hear the thunder going in the background, and even though this game is 13 years old, the developers do keep up with... They have put together a pretty good game. So these little sand spitters here are fairly useless. Your potions here, they build up the more enemies you kill. So with every enemy you kill, your potions and your flasks, they get a certain amount of charges, and that way you don't have to worry about going and gathering orbs or something like in Diablo 3 or Diablo 4. When you go back to town in standard mode, they fill all the way back up to the top. In Ruthless mode, I don't think they do. So, your abilities do take up a fair bit of mana, and there we go. So, the pick up to equip and pick up, I think that's what it's called. It automatically equipped that shield, so any gear that I have that's not in the slot, if that slot's open and I can equip it, I will. So plate vest, I have enough strength for that, and there we go. So I have a shield and a plate vest, and my character's already looking ready for action. So this video is going to go all the way to Act 1. It's going to be a bit long because of my ranting at the beginning, and like I said, I'm kind of jumping in a little bit blind here, but I'm looking more to have fun than anything. So, there's a few dead ends around here. If I can find one or two more enemies, I'll level up, and then I'll open up the skill tree. And I think the skill tree is the thing that sort of turned me away from this game in the beginning. So there we go. We have our first skill point. P opens it up where you can click the little thing there. So, if you zoom out, you can see this little square here is where the shadow starts, but these little ones that kind of have a face and the cross here, that's where each character chooses to start. So I believe this is where the witch starts, because the shadow is a combination of intellect and dexterity. So one thing I've noticed about this game is that it's kind of lined up like this. So you have blue is your intellect, red is your strength, green is your dexterity. So on the skill tree here, you have your witch starting here, your marauder, I believe, starting over here, and the ranger, which is your dexterity character, starting over here. The shadow, being a combination of intellect and dexterity, starts between those two. This would most likely be the Templar, starting between the marauder and the witch, because it's strength, intellect. And then this is your duelist, strength, dexterity. And then this is where the Ascendant starts, and it looks like it's a much different tree. It's fairly easy for the... It's kind of a short tree, but you can see that your Ascendant can go basically any way. It can go intellect, combination of intellect, strength, etc., blah, 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 and going on. So anyway, I've decided that I'm going to go traps. So the first thing that I usually do is I look at which... the path to the first major ability that I want. So if I want increased trap damage and saboteur, so the best path to go would be, let's see, so I'm going to be using a lot more, I think, intellect to throw out the traps. So I'm going to want, let's see, attack speed, dexterity. I think I'm going to want to go trickery or coordination. Let's go with more of an int build. So we're going to start by going 14% increased damage, and we're going to go up this path. And then I think I will go more damage in the beginning. So I'm probably going to go along here to get trickery, and then work towards the first major one here, the Trap Mastery, and try and get this one. So that's going to be my path from the beginning. You apply your points, and then that disappears. So, anything else I need to cover? So your blacksmith wheatstone and your armor wheatstone, they're the main things that are going to be upgrading your weapons and your gear. By the end of the game, they start dropping a lot more commonly, but right now they're going to be fairly scarce. We're not going to bother wasting it on any of these things. Alright, so now that we've got our first level, we're going to head towards the boss, finish off these guys here. And if you do miss with your ability, you're still going to use up mana. So, it's not really that much of a... Mana is not really that much of an issue in the game. So what you want to do is get this guy attacking, then move. Get him swinging, and then... Yeah, because his attacks are fairly slow. And if you are pretty good, you can just dodge around him and not even take a hit. I was a little bit slow on some of those, so the item filter will change the size of some of these items, and with certain item filters, you'll probably see it a little bit later, where instead of a black background, it's a gray one, and those are chromatic ones. When you trade that to a vendor, they will give you a chromatic orb, which I would definitely recommend having as many of those as you can. So we'll just pick up everything, take it to the vendor. Nothing here I really need. So since the season's almost over, I'm not really gonna... Like, this is mostly a blind playthrough. I'm not really gonna use a lot out of my stash. what I am going to do is I'm going to take the Scrolls of Wisdom and the Scrolls of Town Portal, and then just use those up because why not? The season's almost over anyway. So, this hack gives more armor and strength. Might as well use that. I think I am probably going to go and... Okay, let's go with daggers for the most part. Then we're just going to sell all this stuff. Scroll of Wisdom can go over here. Okay.
I saw what you Lion Eyes watched.
So we're just going to sell all these items because they're not really necessary. There are some recipes where if you sell certain items to your vendor, it gives you something specific. I don't have any of them memorized because I haven't put in enough hours or really looked it up much. I'm kind of just trying to get through the game.
Sudden shadow staggered from the
And
surf, and there's an island.
the intro that you get from each character is different. A lot of the people that made this game are the same ones that made Diablo 2. And he put this game out basically as a response to Diablo 3. And it actually looks like history's repeating, where Path of Exile 2 is going to come out to kind of about a year or so later after Diablo 4 and be a really good competition and basically dominate that. So, one thing... Okay, so I want to do traps. So we are going to go explosive trap.
Stay sharp out there.
So, we have explosive trap. We're going to put that in place of Viper Strike. And so chance to poison does work with the bear trap. So this does fire damage and physical damage. Trap lasts 4 seconds. Causes 3 smaller explosions. And the chance to poison does work with explosive trap. So let's see. Does it change anything? 40% chance to poison on hit. Actually, I kind of wonder. Okay, so the poison actually did work. It made it so that it always poisoned on hit, because otherwise it would have been just 60% chance. So I guess when you mouse over the gem, it doesn't necessarily show what the supporting one does, but if you mouse over the tooltip, then it does do that. So we're going to switch to that. And I always like, whenever I'm in town, I like keeping my inventory fairly clear. Now, I can stock up on potions here, or I could take out some uniques, but I don't really feel the need to. One thing I do like doing is, you can, what is it, stash options? Okay, so, let's see here. No, that's not the right one. Oh, okay. So this little arrow here, the tabs here will actually appear here. I think it's just easier to navigate rather than having to go to the mouse over and kind of scroll. This just makes it a lot easier to see everything. When you start the game, I think you just start with the 4 tabs. But I bought the currency tab, maps, gems, uniques, essences, divination, flasks, and then I got a couple premium ones. And I sort of color-coded them a little bit, but they're kind of getting pretty full at the moment. I like sort of color-coding everything just so it's a little bit, it stands out a bit more. And you can set tab affinities so that I control-clicked the items that I had here and it went right to the tab here. So I believe that's what the enable tab affinities do. The infinity auto-navigation, if you're throwing in a bunch of items, let's see here. So if you click that, so if I click on the gem, it should take me right to the gem tab. Yep. So that's what the affinity does. I personally don't like that one turned on, so I usually have that off. But the tab affinities, it puts it right into the tab. If you have specific ones for like gems, uniques, etc., it does that automatically rather than having to go and do it manually. So that's enough ranting for now. We have some monsters to kill. Alright, so... Oh, one other thing I do like doing is... 5 always feels a little bit awkward. I usually save that for my lesser used flasks or something when I get them. And I usually move the mana one to 3 and 4. So, the trap goes out. and it does a fair bit of damage. And as you can see, the portal scroll stood out a little bit more. Alright, so I like having the, like I said, I like having the left mouse button as click to move. That way I never just throw when I want to dodge or something. It makes it so that you don't get stuck, especially in boss fights. In boss fights, that might be a little bit of a hindrance. So right now, we don't have any movement skills. And when you see a green aura come out, that's usually your gems leveling up. The yellow aura is when you level up. So there's very few gems that you don't want to level up. Some you might not want to, especially if you're doing not a very high mana build. You're going to want to reserve, especially for your auras, you definitely don't want to use up all your mana, because it's going to be pretty scarce, unless you get clarity or some good mana regen. This game is so in-depth that pretty much anything you can think of doing for your builds, you could probably do. You could have your traps here, even though it's a fire trap, you could probably set it to do other elemental damage. You can have your flasks with your crafting table, which it's available in the Standard League, but not in the Crucible League, as far as I know, or the Ruthless League, as far as I know. Your crafting can actually add buffs to your flasks, to your armor, even to certain gems. You just have to kind of find them. So, this is a pretty decent trap build. It does a fair amount of damage. It is a bit mana intensive, but going the intellect route, I should be getting some more intellect soon, so that's going to be a little bit less of a problem. So, this character is evasion, well, dexterity and intellect, so I usually like finding gear that has mana and energy shield and evasion, but you're not limited to that. So dodging is really easy. The layout of the map is not too bad. Oh, and here's where we actually find the Crucible mechanic. So with this, when it first started, it was a little bit clunkier. I'll go over in a second. Okay, so anything that's rare or lower, you can level up with the forge. So I could level up the daggers, I could level up the buckler, and when you click on one, you hold this for a certain amount of time, and if you get it all the way to light up, which for the first level is fairly easy, then you get another weapon ability. You can't really see what it is at the beginning, not until you get your first one unlocked. Not really sure why. When you first got it, it was kind of a guess just how difficult it would be. But then after the first week, they added a little mechanic in where you can kind of see how the meter builds up. So we're going to try and go all the way to the light up. So hopefully my character is strong enough to handle this. I've never really done the trap build before. It's a little bit slower as far as abilities that you can put out. But I should be able to take these enemies out. And they give a pretty good amount of experience. Oh, we got a small flask. Actually, one thing that I'm going to change after this battle, that it's not set by default, and I'll go over it in just a second. Alright, so we got all the way to the end there, and you don't have to kill all the enemies. Usually the experience you get doesn't require all of them. I guess it's to prevent if one enemy is glitched or something, you're not completely losing out. So, we have 1 to 9 extra lightning damage for our glass shank here. What was it I was going to say? Oh yeah. When you click on your ability, always attack without moving. For any ranged abilities, you generally want that so that you throw it. If something's behind, then you'll kind of throw it without moving all the way over there. So, gonna pick up useful items here. Oh, and we actually leveled up too. So, I wanted to go... yeah, I wanted to go this way. Alright. So the waypoints, we're in the coast right now. The furthest door is always the tidal island. The closest one is always the mud flats. So I always come here because this guy gives you a skill point. There's a few quests that aren't really necessary. I'm just going to do them all. Because you always end up I'm such a... I can't really do an entire run and just have all these quests skipped. I like just finishing them all, even though I've done them quite a few times. And it's just the way I do things. So I'm probably going to go through... I'm definitely going to go through all the extra quests here. Just because. So when you see anything with a blue aura, these guys are your rares. And then anything that has a yellow aura is your unique one. Alright. Yeah, we're definitely going through quite a bit of mana. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what other abilities I can get are.
Has removed the eternal stain from this coast. The Empire's citizens decorate our meeting houses with their heads. Our warriors build homes for our families.
So, yeah.
Our families.
What I like is that you don't have to... I remember in Diablo 2, you would have to stand there and listen to the ranting if you wanted to hear the lore. Here you just click on it and it follows you.
Has kept his promise.
So the damage is not fantastic yet. But, I mean, I'm not really that much at risk of dying. I can throw down a trap and move, throw and move, throw and move. Alright, so are any of these useful? Shabby Jerkin might be an upgrade. Evasion rating, I like that. And more hit recovery, so let's get rid of this thing. I don't really need that. Percent movement speed. You know, I think I'm going to go with this because I don't really need to worry too much about having two weapons because I'm not really doing a melee build. And this, generate more life. You know, that actually might be better. So let's go with this one. Okay. So my character's starting to shape up a little bit better. I could definitely use some more mana, but the energy shield is providing a little bit more tankiness. And I have a shield to block stuff. And this is where we come across our second boss. The first one was Hillock. Second one is Hellrake. So this guy does a fair bit of ice damage. If you get too close, he pretty much can one-shot freeze you. And you just have to keep dodging his little things here. But he's pretty easy. So, got a coral ring, chain belt, iron ring. I like getting anything, like I said, that has the evasion. So we got that. So, rings at the beginning are going to be really useful. This one, not so much. Get rid of that. And the belts, I think energy shield's going to be good. Do I need that one? No. Do I need this? No. Okay, so there's a few things you can do when you defeat him. You'll probably see some people that are speedrunning, that what they'll do is they have the waypoints, so pretty much right after killing him, what they'll do is they'll exit a character screen and then immediately reload. This puts you in town. We have the waypoint, so we can go right back, and it saves you a town
I'd
of
almost stop believing in miracles.
town portal scroll.
This medicine.
Okay, so this is where we get the Quicksilver Flask. We're going to put that on. And let's see here. So, not many of the... This one might be good for... Okay. Okay, this one will actually be really good. Swift Assembly. That's going to be much better for the trap than the poison. And this guy here, because we got the medicine chest, he's going to... Did we get a skill book? No. Okay.
Stay sharp out there.
Welcome.
Okay, I could have sworn that we were supposed to get a medicine chest. Anyway, let's see if we can get something that gives us 3. Oh, actually, this might be better. So, we'll put the explosive trap, the chance to poison, and let's... Oh no, wait, we don't want the chance to poison. This is a... I think this is a green one for sure. Yeah. So, if you're not sure, because there's some shops that kind of look... Or some gems that sort of look like they're multicolored, you can see that any that it won't fit in are grayed out. So it kind of has blue and green here. So you would think it might be blue, it might be green, but no. Only the green is lit up, so that's the only one you can put it in. Let's see here.
Stay sharp out
Okay,
there.
so we do have a skill point. So let's, it was elemental damage, evasion, or enemy shield. Let's go with elemental damage, because I think this is going to be a more elemental build. So, what we can do now, let's look for a blue gem that adds something to the explosive traps. So, summon a phantasm support. Anytime we throw down a trap, we would also summon a phantasm. So that's one to consider. Arcane Surge doesn't work with explosive trap. Elemental Perforation, that one does. Has a 20% chance to freeze, shock, and ignite. So we can either go with the Phantasm supports. Whenever they deal a killing blow, 5 phantasms. The phantasms last 15 seconds. You know, that might actually be interesting to put in there. This is a blue as well, but it doesn't work for the trap. Okay, so I believe we are all ready to go again. There's nothing else we really need to add. So I think we're just going to continue on.
Take care.
And yeah, so just go to the mud flaps. And if you're quick, the map that you've explored saves, but I believe every map has just a 15-minute timer. So, ooh, that's okay. So I definitely picked the right one. It throws out quite a bit of extra traps occasionally. Okay, so just yeah, I kind of like that it throws out extra traps. That's actually a really cool ability. So what you want here is you want to get the 3 items that are going to unlock the next area. And what I usually do is I get those, I go unlock the next area, there's a waypoint right at the entrance, and then once I get that, I usually head to the extra area, I kill off the necromancer, and then I continue on. I usually, after killing off the necromancer, what I do is I log out quickly, and then log back in, and then just go to the waypoint. Alright. So let's, okay. Actually, I've already started. Okay, so this time we're only going to go to Brutal. I could go a little bit further, but I'm just going to get to the next ability there. Ooh. Yeah, definitely watch out, because sometimes these guys hit pretty hard. And you can see they definitely hit pretty hard. Okay, my first death of the game, because I wasn't paying enough attention. Alright. But the enemies, as far as I know, don't despawn. So you don't really have to worry about going and losing your crucible bonus. Unless you just leave the area and don't bother. But I did gain another level, so it might be a little bit easier when I get back there. Alright, so we have 2 of the gems. We just need 1 more. So far the traps aren't great, but there's a lot of extra abilities that you get that are going to throw the traps faster and further. Yeah, one thing that is really good that I'm really looking forward to getting is clarity, because your mana regen is so low at the beginning, and having that can save a lot on, you can throw out traps a lot faster, you don't have to worry about your mana, and just spamming the mana potions. Okay, so we have, that's all 3 gems. And you can see that the Phantasms are doing a pretty good amount of damage. Alright, so the Crucible is just up this way. I do want to finish off these guys. I don't know what it was that got me last time, really, but I was stunned and couldn't really get off the health potions quick enough. Get him, Phantasms. I actually should have put the skill point in. Okay, so now let's put the skill point in. And let's see here. Yep, stick with the elemental. Okay, so where the exclamation mark is here, that's where the quest is. And we put those in. We're going to quickly go in. Grab the waypoint, which is usually upwards. Sometimes it's down, but randomness. And then we're going to go and we're going to kill the Necromancer. Alright, down, down, down we go. So. And one thing I have to remember using is the Quicksilver Flask, because a lot of times I forget to use that. When you level up, I think it's the same on Ruthless, where it fills up all your flasks. Yeah, some of the item, or some of the crafting that you can do for the flasks in general is if you take a hit, it might auto-activate. If you fill up, like, if you kill a bunch of enemies and the flask streak's just full, it would use automatically. I think that's one of the best ones for Quicksilver. That way you're always moving as quick as you can. And it just prevents the flask from filling up and not being used. Because you're going to get a lot of charges, and a lot of them are going to be waste if you don't use them. So I think when Reach is full is probably one of the best enchants. Alright, so this is the Feeded Pool. This is not really necessary. What you get from here is when you clear the area, this is like Path of Exile's Den of Evil. You get a skill book that gives you 2 reset points. Now in this game, one thing that actually really irritated me in the beginning was the fact that it doesn't give you a full respec, it just respecs points. So as you can see from the skill tree here, we've already put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we would need 5 reset points just for a full reset. Which, I think when you complete the game, you have 22 or 29. I can't remember the exact number. But you'll have put in like 90-something points. So the way to get the rest is to find the Orbs of Regret and just kind of carefully do it, because you're not going to get a full respec unless you waste like a bunch of those. And very rarely will you need a complete reset. You might need to tweak a little things from the build you level up with to the build that you want to play for the end game. But that's the way it rolls. So I'm already starting to do a fair bit more damage. So Elemental was definitely the right ability to go. I didn't really need to be more tanky. But I will need more mana. So if you really want to compare what you would get, that's one thing that's a little bit that I think that they could put in the game is like a comparison what your gem currently has as opposed to what you get when you level up. But you can see when you level up, it's trap level 1, and it doesn't really show what increases. So 9, 6, 3, and then if you level up, 3, 6. Okay, so 10% chance to throw 1 additional trap or mine as opposed to 9% chance. So that increased a little bit. And we'll increase the summon phantasm support because why not? Support gems there's really no point in not leveling them up. So this Necromancer on Ruthless was a real difficult boss because, as you can see, he keeps summoning more and more of these guys here. But because I have the Phantasms, they're keeping everything busy, and I can just keep throwing the mines right underneath the boss's feet. And they have like an AoE effect that makes it so that it keeps killing off any ads that he summons pretty much as fast as he can summon them. Okay. So, go. We just have to finish clearing off this area. Oh, and I should probably change out those mana potions because I'm going through the little ones so quickly now. So now I have 2 mediums, I believe. So what we're gonna do is go like this, and hopefully I didn't bite myself until I changed them already. Oh good, another level up. Alright, so as you can see, it filled up the flask all the way. Yeah, so this is going to be a very focused build. And you can see that the mana potions are restoring a bit more. Superior small life, we might as well take that and upgrade that. Battered helm, armor and evasion. What do we have to replace it with? We get 8 strength from this. Okay, so we don't really need the battered helm. Alright, so we have to kill the rest of the enemies here. Okay, so this one is a unique guy. There's actually the regular mobs, the rare ones, or the more powerful elite ones. They're the ones covered in blue. The yellow ones here are your unique bosses. And then occasionally, like,
That was fun.
Hillick and... what was the other one? And Hellrake. Their mana bar, or their health bars are a bit different. They're kind of brown, and you see a lot of ticks underneath. I think each of those ticks is like 10%. Those are essentially your bosses, and there's several bosses throughout this game. When Path of Exile 2 comes out, they're really ramping it up. I think there's going to be like a boss in every area. And there we go. We cleared the area. So now we're just going to exit the character screen, quickly re-log in. Now if we talk to Tarkin here, we get our rewards.
That you've drained that path.
So we get, let's see here, Orbital Storms, Bear Trap. Okay. I don't think that one, well, actually physical 20 to 28. My explosive trap. That might actually be useful too. And then this is where we get our first movement ability. So we can either go dash or frost blink. Let's see, deals 12 to 17. Okay, so this one. Okay, so this one, the difference is that as the Frostbrink levels up, I think it starts to do more cold damage and more slow damage, I think. Whereas this, it increases the travel distance and the recovery rate. So we're going to go with the dash. And then we also get
I've traveled
the book,
inland
which
on
gives
the
2
Emperor's Road
respect
via Prisoner's
points.
Gate.
Alright,
Farewell.
so he just gives us our next quests. Level that up. We have another point. So this is where we get our first major point. So 20% increased damage, 20% increased critical strike, and 10% increased dexterity and intelligence. So now that we got that, we are going to move to get this one here. So we're going to go with the elemental damage. Let's go for like base damage more than any critical strike chance, because I think we're going to get plenty of crit already. So let's just stick with getting the base damage up, and then go from there. Can have up to additional mines and traps. So that's fine. Alright, now what can we get rid of here? So let's clear out the inventory a little bit. Alright, so we have 2 medium class. This one is just a normal one. We don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Okay, so this scepter might actually be a better choice. The only problem is that scepters, they increase your elemental damage, whereas wands are more intellect based. So if we go with the wands, 12% increased elemental damage or 8% spell damage. Now, the explosive trap is not a spell. Oh, actually it is. Okay, so that might actually be useful. Alright, so let's put in the dash. Let's switch the bear trap for the explosive trap. Yeah, it's a spell as well. So there's really not any point in having the dagger. So, just keep it and just sell this stuff. So nothing else here was useful. 78 life over 2.10 seconds, whereas 3 seconds. So 70 life, 78 life, so let's switch that out, and then just sell the rest.
Yes?
Bye-bye. And you as well, because we don't need you or you or you or you. Okay. Alright. There we go.
Goodbye.
And just throw all the extra items in the stash. These we're just going to keep for the time being. Okay, so... Alright, we are set to go. Okay, so... I think that at the beginning, well, throughout the game, there's several points where when you hit like a check mark or a checkpoint...
Just need a moment to catch my breath.
Oh, okay, actually, the bear trap might not be that good. Okay. Actually, I'm going to go back to town and switch out... Okay, the bear trap wasn't as good as I thought. So the explosive trap doesn't really have a limit, but the bear trap... Three uses. Okay, so... Switch back to the explosive trap. Live and learn, I guess. Okay. So there's another side area here that you can go to, where you have to kill the Devourer of the Deep. That's your third mini-boss in the game. And then if you kill him, you get another book for skill point. This act, your main resistance that you want to get a lot of is cold, because the enemies here do a fair bit of cold damage. You can see they're all throwing cold spells. They really want to freeze you to the ground. And the boss here, she has a lot of cold themed spells too.
Low on mana.
I know. No on mana. Alright. So it actually looks like the Devourer of the Deep is usually in the depths here. So you want to go stealth usually. And if you have dash, there it is, the Flooded Depths. you can actually go up and down cliffs, so you're saving a little bit of time. I believe in Ruthless you get Quick Step, which it's less a dash ability and more just a dodge, so with that you definitely want to make sure you're taking as little damage as possible. Alright, so let's go all the way. Alright. And light, there we go. So once it lights up, then you're set to go. And the monsters that spawn from the crucibles are always depending on what's available in the area, I think. You might get a few unique ones here, but usually it's based on the area. Or on the act, I'm not sure. So yeah, throw and move, throw and move, throw and move. Alright, so we have our wands leveled up. And once we kill this guy off, and we actually got to level up too. So, our first ability, 7% increased damage over time, 15% reduced duration of ailments on you. So, poison and everything lasts a lot less time. Oh, you don't always want to just stand there and look at things because it doesn't always work. So, we're going to go with elemental damage. Alright, there we go. And now continuing on, we're looking for the boss here. Alright. Yeah, another major change that I'm looking forward to, the Path of Exile is going to bring, is that gem system change. Because every piece of gear that you get in this game, the slots seem to be random. And it looks like instead of dealing with that when Path of Exile 2 finally drops, kind of hoping that it applies to Path of Exile 1 as well, where the gem system is going to be tied to your character, not to your gear. So this way, whenever you get a piece of upgrade or a piece of gear that's an upgrade, you don't have to sit there and fiddle with just all kinds of the gem links and everything like that. You're going to have it tied directly to your character, so you're just going to be able to change out the piece of gear and keep playing, rather than like, oh, well, now I can't use this gem, or I used up all my chromatic things to try and switch it. I think that's the thing that I find the most irritating about the current gem system, is that it makes it so you have less, like, it almost makes it so when you get an item that's an upgrade, it's more of an irritation than anything. So, in this act, there's really two mini-bosses that you face. The first one is the Warden, which you face in the prison, and the second one is the final act boss, Maeve, or Marvel. Abel? Oh, I can't remember the name now. And she's the one that, after you kill her, the act is essentially done, and then you just go through the little side area to the next town. So in this game, there's 10 acts total. It may seem like a lot, but the acts, they once you level up and you get your character really running, they start going a little bit shorter. Which you don't want to go through like really, really long 10 acts. I mean, the game really, the end game of this is your maps and your heists and your delirium and all the other stuff that they've added through the years, and then your uber bosses and your super bosses, which I haven't even started yet. Okay. Alright, so we took out the guy here. So let's quickly exit the character screen, log back in. And I don't think I was down there long enough that the map reset. So because we finished that quest, now we get another book. And there we go. So that's finished. We're going to go back to the submerged passage. And yep, the map did not reset. Let's see, so we wanted to go to here. Alright. And remember to use your Quicksilver potion, because that gives you a little bit of a move increase. And in the beginning, it feels like you're running fairly slow anyway, so the less time you have to spend just running through empty quarters, the better. So pretty soon I should have the Clarity Gem. I think when you hit the prison, then it unlocks a bunch more gems that are available, and then you can really start shaping your build up. Alright, so if the flooded depths are usually down, then I think the passage to the cliff is usually fairly north of it. Especially if the map's sort of laid out like this. Alright, so that padded vest that I just picked up, because the background was kind of a gray color, that means that when I take it to the vendor, I can sell it for chromatic orb. And you can see that the Blue Princess here, that screaming ability that she just used, that's the same one that the boss uses. Alright. Okay. And superior, it's at least good to check those out. Alright, so this is definitely a big upgrade as far as the helm goes, so this helm can go. This vest... Nope, that vest isn't... Oh wait, I picked that up, this is the chromatic one. Evasion rating, so that shield is slightly better. And... let's see... yeah, let's... can we add that? Let's put the dash in the wands, and there we go. Alright, so we don't need claws. And there's another crucible up here, so we can use that, I think, for the shields. And another level up. Excellent. So, now I can get the 30% increased chop damage and 2 more mines at a time. Alright, so because we haven't done anything with the shield yet, let's quickly try and upgrade this one. Let's go all the way to the lights. There we go. Yeah, the traps do a lot of AoE damage. So in the beginning, they may seem fairly weak, but once you can cluster everything up, then you're all set. Alright, up we go. And there's the exits. Yeah, if anybody actually watched Exilecon, you can tell the people that make this game have a real love for the game. Blizzard, it really feels like they've gone down a kind of a lazy number crunching path where they've streamlined everything, the game is less fun, and one thing that really turned me off about Diablo 4 was that the gear was just so boring. I mean, legendaries you can get at the beginning, a lot of those same affixes you'll see at the end too. So the only real difference is that they offer slightly higher numbers, but there's nothing fun and unique about the gear. There's no legendaries as far as I know, it's all unique pieces. Whereas this, there's no set items, but... oh, what am I saying? In Diablo, there's no set items, but there's the legendary type items. They just feel so boring. In this, you can essentially build around a specific item. And most of the things you want to get are going to be unique. Sorry, not unique. The rares, the yellow ones.
Low on mana.
Okay. Yep, traps just everywhere, so let's level all these up. And there's the waypoints. So there is a mini boss in this area too. It's a giant totem thing that you fight. That's having the traps here, it might be really easy. So once we hit the prison waypoint, we're gonna go back to town, and then from there, what we're gonna do is we're gonna see if there's any cool new support gems. And here's another crucible. So what did the shield add? Okay, so if you go into your inventory and right click to view the tree, the shield added 22 evasion rating. Okay, so that's actually pretty good. So let's... So the wand isn't really that great. But we might as well level it up anyway. So let's go to Brutal. I find Brutal is usually really doable. Lethal, especially if you're not... If it doesn't feel like your build is overpowered, Lethal can really take a while to kill, and they can really do quite a bit of damage to you. Alright. That takes care of the crucible here. So I think that the shield that I have might be a better thing to level up. So some players that I see playing, what they do is they kind of just look for any large packs and they'll pull off the blue enemies, but they tend to skip the yellow ones. That's, I think, is actually a pretty efficient way to speed level, but the unique enemies, they do have a much higher chance to drop any unique items, so you don't necessarily want to skip them. Alright. We should be coming out to a boss soon. I think this is the area. Yep. So, Kotaku the False God. So he has a big shock AoE. So you don't want to get too close.
I'm so good at this.
But so many phantoms must be spawning.
Low on mana.
Okay. Alright, so we got the Iron Ring. And because we're an intellect dexterity build, I think what we want to look for is anything that, like, if you see the colors here, the Sharp Tooth Claw is red, so I think that's supposed to be more strength based. The arrow here is supposed to be more dexterity based. I think purple would be strength and dexterity based, and then kind of like a light purple is... I'm not even sure, actually. I know that there's different colors that appear that are kind of like a combination, but the main ones are going to be your green, your blue, and your red. And I'm actually not sure what they represent because I've picked up quite a few items when I was playing through some classes that were more dexterity or intellect based, and the green items don't seem very tied to dexterity, so I'm not really sure what the color is meant to represent. Alright, so there's two areas. You go through the ledge, then you go through the climb, and then from there you're in the prison, and that's when we're going to go back to town. And there is another mini boss here too. It's a really powerful fire shaman, and I think there's also a powerful skeleton archer. The mines are starting, or the traps are starting to do a lot more damage, but we're going to look for something that's going to cast them faster and a little bit easier. should be getting clarity soon as well. So that's going to make this a lot easier, not having to constantly use your mana potions. Like, you'll still have to use them for when a fight is pretty intense, but the mana regen is going to make a huge difference. So I really hate these wheel guys. They have really fast movement. They essentially roll from wherever they start to charge, and they go through. Alright, so 40% reduce strong evasion, energy shield, 6%. Okay, that actually seems like a stupid ability. Okay, so we're not going to do that then. Let's try and finish leveling up this. Okay, so if it's kind of a tree that you see there, then when the other abilities light up, the ones that are further down the path, then you can stop charging it. You can, if it's fairly low on the meter, like if you hit the point where the extra abilities light up and you're only like 10% or something, if you mouse over and start clicking on one of the ones that you choose, you can start charging up the next part. But I don't think it's too big of a concern because this league is ending pretty soon. So these guys do quite a bit of fire damage, but we're no slouches ourselves. We're doing a lot of elemental damage right now, so we're going to stick with doing the elemental mines. So this guy here is just a unique one. And these items that he drops, I was saving them for the longest time, but if you get a white item, you can usually use it on the... you can use one of those essences on it, because going through the end game, you're probably going to get higher level essences dropping anyway. So 30% reduced attribute requirements. I think we're going to go with this one. So the abilities for that aren't the greatest. 20% increased duration of elemental. Okay, so this one's actually a really good one. So we're going to go with the elemental focus, and then yeah, these are good abilities to get, and then we're still going to move towards the trap mastery. But that's a good ability to have. More elemental damage can't hurt, especially for this build. So, Goatman. The Lion Eye Standard, I think that's where you're going to find your skeleton mini-boss. So it gives a little recap of something. So the waypoint is around here somewhere. I hope I didn't... Oh, I see it. I did miss it. Okay, so there's the skeleton mini-boss. So far we have a very basic build. There's nothing special about it yet. But once we hit the prison there, we're going to be able to go back to town and get some things that are a little bit better for it. I used the dash too early. There we go. Okay. So I do like getting all the waypoints as well, just because completionism. So we killed off the skeleton guy there. And there's one more that's a one of the ghost men that's very fire-based. He should be around here somewhere. It's funny that the Goatman made it into this game. I'm curious. Because Diablo really... It feels like they've been just taking the Goatman thing for... taking it for granted. Because none of the Goatmen in Diablo feel at all unique. They don't feel special at all. It doesn't feel like there's any more lore to it. I mean, there's not really a lot in this game, but the gameplay is at least there to make the Goatmen feel different. So before we reach the door, there's always another pack of those guys on wheels, and they usually just, run right over you. But you can pass them because they're not all that important. So we have one more skill points. So let's put that in the...
Theopolis prison's a child's playhouse compared to this.
Yeah, let's
They
put in
sure
the
don't
increased
make
trap
them like they
damage.
used to.
Alright. So now we are in the prison. Usually does each character class does a unique saying as you come in. Then you get the waypoints. We go back to town. And from here, we want to talk to some of the people.
There's a fine.
Okay, so let's sell some of these items. Oh yeah, so if you have a bunch of items that are unidentified, you right click on the scroll, and if you hold down shift, you don't have to click on the scroll, identify, click, identify, click, identify. It just allows you to do it all by just clicking, holding down shift, and then go through and identify everything. So, spell damage. That might actually be a much better shield. So we get fire resistance, increased spell damage, so that's definitely a bit of an upgrade. And we don't have any gems that we're missing out on. We do lose a bit of evasion rating, but oh well. If the sell window was open, then you can't equip something. Okay. That's not an upgrade. Nope. Maximum mana. Let's change that out. And these other rings are not really useful. Claw, not really useful. Okay, so the rest of you. Oh, wait. Yep, that had one more mana, so. No, I don't really. Actually, yes, I do want to reflect damage back. So let's go with this. No, we don't want to sell that ring. We want to keep that ring and put it in the inventory. We want to equip it. Okay, accept. And now let's put this ring here. Alright.
Stay sharp out there.
Let's
Still
see, do you have
alive, are
anything
we?
useful here? In the beginning is when you usually buy gear. But let's see. That's actually a really nice upgrade and has 2 green. Armor, other shields, or evasion shields. Let's go with... no, we want to keep that one. Okay, so it's just the boots and maybe the chest we want to replace. Gloves? Gloves are fine. It'd be nice if they had different colored sockets, but can't win them all. I don't really need to buy anything from him.
The tale of Brutus
Okay.
was a...
So, this is where we start getting some cooler things. So, faster attack support doesn't work on either of those. The cold damage does work for the explosive trap, so we might consider that. Although we are running a little short on sockets. Void manipulation. Ooh, multiple traps. Okay, so that's definitely a good one. The only problem is that supported skills deal a lot less damage. So that's actually a huge problem. So I think we're going to skip the the multiple traps, the lesser multiple projectiles, and the lesser volley. You don't see it here. They are really good abilities for clearing out big packs. The only problem is that you're going to take a huge decrease in the amount of damage you can do. It starts to... I think that that 58% damage would start to lessen as you level up your gem. Nah, not worth it. Alright, so what I do like is the faster gem, but it doesn't work. So we are going to just use the cold damage one, and then just check to see what's available. So, we have the explosive trap, the summon phantasm support, and the swift assembly. So, So yeah, at the beginning it was 369. So it looks like to throw one additional trap increased 1%, and so did the 2 additional traps. So that, as it's leveling up, you're going to be throwing out more traps. So that's a good one. The Phantasm support I can see replacing, but with what? So that one's not all that great. There's that. So if we're looking for a blue replacement, or chance to flee, chance to blind, increase critical strike. No, that can't work. That might actually be pretty good. Or, ooh, I actually like that. So that's probably going to be a lot better than the Summon Phantasm support. So we're going to do a lot more fire damage. Or okay, no, I don't want that. Let's see, the regulation. Okay, so I think we're going to change out the Summon Phantasm with this one. Alright, so that takes care of that. We also have... Let's see, what else can we do? So, one thing I would like is the clarity, but I don't see it yet. So, let's see here. So there's not really a lot that I can get that is all that useful. I could get a blue or a red ability. The problem is that I don't have a lot of strength. And okay, I think we're just going to stick with this for now. So there's not a lot we can do with our ability, but we are at least going to be doing more damage. So now it's time to go take on the first mini boss, which is the Warden. So I think the entrance... Yeah, you can see that you're doing a lot more damage. Oh yeah. Definitely taking out these enemies a lot quicker. Okay, so Lapis Amulets. I think that might be something worth getting. Okay, Lapis Amulets. 26 to Intelligence. Yeah, that's definitely much better. It's going to give me more mana. And more mana regen would be nice, but I'll get that with Clarity when I eventually get it. Okay. Yeah. Alright, so these mines are definitely doing a lot more. Alright, so let's go all the way to the end here. Brutal. And because of that increased intellect from the amulet, I actually don't have to use mana potions as much. Wow, look at that damage. That's a big upgrade. So these strong boxes, you always want to be a little bit careful with them, because you can use the Scroll of Wisdom on them to see, because they're always going to be unidentified, and some of them will have a trap that can freeze you, some will do a lot of fire damage. It's kind of random what they do. Ooh, my first unique. Alright. I think that unique is not really all that great. It's one that adds a lot of armor, I think. So... or a lot of life. And, ooh, a lot of reflection. Okay, so that is... Yeah, you know what? That's a little bit better. The only problem is that the slots on it kind of suck, but oh well. We don't really use that. So Ripperset we can just get rid of. Yeah, at this point in the game, the league cycle, I mean, you don't really have to collect a lot of gems because most of the stuff you can buy, unless you get a superior or divergent or a Val gem, then you don't have to sit there and collect everything. Okay. Alright. So there's the door to the upper prison, so you go lower prison, upper prison, and then the warden's office. That's where you fight the warden. Yeah, so you'll find that the yellow bosses, sometimes they have an aura that it doesn't necessarily affect everything everything around it. It might just affect their group. And then here's the shrine. So the ones that you see there's two shrines that they actually can do quite a bit of damage to if you just sit there and stand around them. The frost one and the lightning one can actually start draining your health if you sit there and don't grab it, if you're just like killing off all the enemies for some reason and not going and grabbing the shrine effect. But there's also abilities that you can that extend the length of the shrine. I think that's just in maps though. Alright, so the shrine that I have... Oh, the effect already wore off, so I wasn't even sure what that one did. So, you can usually tell by the icon that's above it just what the shrine does. It looked like it was a health one. I'm not sure though. Sapphire Ring is going to be good for this act because, especially for the last boss, you want at least a decent amount of frost resist. Otherwise, your spells are just going to eat you quickly. And you can avoid most of them, but some of them that she casts in the area, it's a little bit hard to just dodge those since she casts them so quickly, and you want to dodge her attacks, but they start filling up the room pretty quickly. Alright, so I don't think it was this one. And not that way either. Alright. Down we go. Yeah, the traps are actually feeling a little bit better now. Amber. So that is... I think that's lightning resist or lightning damage. So level up the dash and the swift assembly. Alright, so the amber gem. Oh, strength. Okay, I was completely wrong on that. You know, it didn't even occur to me that there was a strength amulet. For some reason, amber I kind of associate with lightning. Alright, so now we have the door, and this leads to the warden's office, the warden's quarters. And this is where you first come across Heidi, who... she's a recurring character all the way up to the end of Act 4. And I think she's mentioned a few times after, but they ended up taking her out, and she had a pretty good design. She kind of reminds me of shoot, the chick in red from Warcraft, White Mane, Priestess White Mane? No, not Priestess.
Still the Karui barbarians advance upon us.
But she has a very similar outfit.
His legions
so she just does a little spew and then she disappears, and then you just go through here, check a couple chests. Yeah, you'll see that a lot of items that I have or that drop
Let our salvation
don't
is
appear,
at hand.
it's because
Foul
the
times
filter
demand
takes out a
heroic
lot of
deeds,
stuff that
and through my
is
arts,
not
our
really all that
Brutus
useful.
will arise anew to defend
And
us.
in this league, you definitely want to do that. Okay. So for the warden, you definitely want to dodge quite a bit. So when he does that ability, you don't want to be near him. Wow, these mines are just eating him up. Alright, well he died
Big
pretty
just
quickly.
means more places to stick a blade.
Okay, so I can actually put that somewhere. So I do want that padded vest, and let's just identify everything. That too, so ooh, that's a good ring upgrade. So we're going to put that over the one that gives me life, because the fact that one wasn't that good. Let's see, we do like that cold resist one. This strength I don't really need all that much. Lightning resist I don't really need all that much either. I do like the energy shield and the maximum life. So yeah, we're gonna take this helm over top of the other one, and these gloves. I do like those gloves. So we're gonna put those gloves on, and the vest. So I get, yeah, a little bit less life. No, the vest is not an upgrade, in my opinion. Okay, now a large mana flask. We're actually going to take that too. Upgrade, or identify that, and increase recovery rate. So that's good. Alright, so we have killed off the first mini boss. Went down like a punk. Alright, so I would say that the act is probably 3/4 complete. So, yeah, one thing you'll notice about this game is that you see how everything kind of connects here? Well, the exit to each area is usually in the direction that the line kind of follows. So, this one you pretty much went northwest from where you started, or northeast. That took you to town. And then the tidal island is usually to the east, and then the mud flaps are usually, yeah, it's pretty well organized. So this area, the entrance is usually to the, you go north a little bit, but then you usually follow the path to the southeast. Sometimes it's the opposite way, so like it's not a guaranteed thing, but it's usually a good guideline to follow. Man, these traps are doing it. Yeah, so I think once the next season starts, I'm going to put up quite a few videos of that one. I'm going to try and do a run for each character, each class, and just see how that goes. Because some, like the Templar, the Marauder, the Witch and the Ranger I've tried a few times, but they're the only ones I really put in like a decent amount of time for. This is the first time really giving the Shadow much of a shot. Alright, so there is a spot where it looks like you can go through, but then Piety closes the gate on you. Whoa. Yeah, I'm liking the way this trap build is going so far. I like when you just go, when you throw like 6 traps out at once and just explode the area. So Piety is where? Usually if you follow the path from where you come out the door, that takes you to where Piety is gonna block the path on you. Okay. And the chat is always just full of stuff. There's always people talking. Usually you'll find people kind of just bashing Diablo 4, which I don't blame them at all. People talking about Path of Exile 2, some people talking about politics, some people telling jokes. And just a little bit of ribbon at one another, which is always fun. Okay, so that X down there, I think that's where you're going to find piety. So if you're not sure, like, you usually follow where you'll see an arrow or something. She is going to block the path on you.
It lives.
Yeah.
Let's see what else a shadow can.
So there's no way to, like, even if you were to have really fast movement speed and dash, you still wouldn't be able to get through there. So there's...
Just need a
So it actually looks like this map doesn't quite line up the same way as it does on the world map. So it looks like if you were to have gone southeast, all you would have found is just Heidi's blocking the path there. So it's interesting that in this area, they start using a little bit more lightning. But then, once you hit the next area, they kind of go back to water. And we have another crucible, so we're going to use that and try and upgrade something. And we got a level up. I like level ups. Ooh, hold on.
I need more pockets.
Yeah, the only downside to this is just you can go through that inventory space really fast. Alright, so increased damage. Ooh, 20% increased mana regeneration rate. That's big. Alright, so we are going to go next and get... You know, I don't really like this one here. So I think I'm going to go up and around, and then get the evasion. Yeah, that's the path. So going up next and around, going towards Trap Master. Yep, there's going to be some cool abilities there. Alright, so in the meantime, let's... that's not actually that good either. What does the shield offer? Ooh, that's a good one. I'm going to go all the way to the max for this. They do hit pretty hard sometimes. But so do I now. So I guess there is actually a limit where once you charge the meter up enough, it starts automatically without going outside of that circle. Okay, there's some enemies here left. So the ones that do that little lightning spin can be pretty deadly, especially in the later difficulties, when your resistance starts taking a little bit of a drop. Alright, so we leveled all the way up and we got the additional cold resist, but negative lightning resist. So next we are going to do... Take 20% increased extra damage from critical strikes. Hits have 50% reduced critical strike chance against you. Now we're going to go for this one here next. So 4% doesn't seem like a lot, but in the higher levels, something like that would make a big difference. Alright, so we are almost out of this area, I think. Yeah, these traps are definitely eating through even though the leak roots. I can't believe how quickly the warden died though. That thing just dropped like a stone. Even this guy, there's fire resistance. he drops pretty quick as well. So the ground, when it does burn like that, that can eat away your health pretty quickly if you're not careful. Another mini boss. So yeah, you can see he has kind of a unique border compared to the unique and the rare enemies. But it doesn't mean that they're all that, like, I think that when Path of Exile 2 finally drops, that those enemies are going to have a little bit more to make them different from
I'm usually the one making the ghosts.
enemies that you fight for the most part.
Been busy.
But right now there's not a lot separating them. Okay. Alright, so here what we want to do is we want to find the Shipyard Cape Tavern or something, and then from there we find the boss the mini boss that's holding the all flame, and we get that because there's a NPC here that you come across called Fairgraves, and if you don't do this quest, then you don't get the one that he gives later in the game. Which isn't really a big deal because the only thing you really get from it is a necklace, I believe. Oh, did I get the waypoint? Yes. So, you're looking for the cave, which is usually fairly close to where he is. Because when you come out, you have to return the item to him, and it wouldn't be for good gameplay if they put it really far away for no reason. Alright. So one thing I've noticed here about the beaches is that if you kind of follow the water, a lot of times you'll find those mudmen or these enemies just kind of pop out randomly. They're always hiding under the waves, it seems. And another level up. Alright, so we are just getting more and more powerful, so I was going to go this way first. Oh yeah, there's actually traps here. Ooh, that's a good one. 12% increased trap throwing speed and 50% trap trigger area. And then you look at some of the abilities for this, and it's just crazy. So, increased critical strike. Yeah, these are the mastery abilities. You can select what you want. So 5% chance to throw up to 4 additional traps. That's pretty awesome. 8% chance to trigger an additional time. So yeah, these trap mastery abilities, well, the mastery abilities in general, usually adds something really cool. Wow, some of these trap things are good. Yes, you want to apply those skill changes. Okay, so yeah, the only thing I dislike about this is that there's a lot of those zombies, and they keep dropping this thing on the ground that slows you, and it's not too bad if you're ranged, but if you're not ranged, then it causes like a big slowing effect on you. Alright, so we're getting the shield up, so we should be able to get the 4% additional dexterity and intellect. Alright, and this is the next area, so we don't want to... Actually, you know what? Since we're here, we might as well just grab the waypoint because it's right there. And then after we finish the next part, we can just log out, log in, grab the waypoints, and be done with this area. Oh, it looks like here it is here. So it's actually pretty far from Fairgraves. Usually in past runs it's been fairly close to them. Okay, so So this cave is pretty short. What you're doing is you're just checking the map to see where the exclamation point pops up, and then that's where the mini boss is. And then after you defeat the mini boss, there's an exit right next to it, and then you use that just to get the heck out of here. All right. Dead ends. Yeah, that the fire from this trap is just doing a lot of damage. And just more and more, I'm just throwing out more traps. Alright, so it was the shield that I wanted to get, and it was this one here. So let's go all the way up to the max. See if we can get it done in one go. Brutal. Okay, so 100% is the max that it goes. I still haven't upgraded any of my life potions yet. Die, people. Okay.
Just
Ooh,
need a moment to
that's
catch my
close.
breath.
Yeah, the frost can really be a killer. I should have been watching out for those frost bombs. Out of health potions, so now I have to be really careful. Alright, I got it. And I see the exclamation point now. These guys are deadly. Okay, so yeah, once you see that those wings appear, like the light thing that happens after the crucible is finished, you know that it's finished. You can kill off the extra enemies, but when they're that tough, you don't necessarily want to. Alright, we are out of there, so now we go to where Fairgraves is. So and then what he does is he takes the all flame from you, and then he's going to attack you. This is a big jerk. So you kill him a couple times in this game. Well, once he's down, then we're just going to log out and in. And can we get up? Yes.
Frank stuck fast in the filthy. My all flame. Please understand that as a gentleman of honor, it pains me greatly.
So if you look in the top corner there, I have 6 traps out.
Call for hard hearts. I'm sure were the circumstances with the
Yeah, the fact that they all come down this one path makes it so easy to do this part. Look at Fairface's health just drop. Okay, so now that that's done, log out, log in. So we're at level 15 already. And because we did a few quests, let's see. Oh, there's Clarity. Clarity is the one that I wanted. So we're going to put Clarity on. Let's sell a few items. Okay, so we don't need this anymore. Evasion? No, that wasn't very good. One thing that is good is that the staffs, not necessarily this one, but two-handed weapons will usually be able to get you up to 6 sockets. And 6 sockets you can usually just fill with a whole bunch of support gems. But there's very little chance you're going to get anything like that this early in the game. Oh, we can actually change out that ring because this one adds the cast speed too. And yeah, let's get rid of this. So yeah, just want to get rid of a lot of the junk. So this one, the Paula Amulet, is pretty good because of the mana regen. It's kind of a difficult choice to decide whether or not to take the mana regen or the increased intellect. So, but because we now have the clarity, we're going to put clarity in the middle here, and then just keep this one empty. We don't need to add anything there.
Stay sharp
Alright,
out there.
so
Fairgraves.
he's going to give us another
For some,
skill book,
Death may veil dwell. If you must take your
and she's going to give us another ability. So, Blade Vortex, Drain, Ice, Mine. No, we don't want the mines. No, don't want those. Lightning Chop. Lightning Chop's actually one that might be good. The only problem is that I got combustion support. So I think I have Fire Trap, don't I? No, Explosive Trap. What's the difference? Dealing fire damage to the surrounding enemies. So 10 to 15 fire damage. 32.5 base fire damage per second. Whereas this one does... You know, let's try the Fire Trap. And then let's just quickly check and see what else we can get. So, we have clarity now. We can check the so lots of gems. Alright, Fireball, nope, we don't need. Spark, nope. So we do want to check traps. So the easiest way is just to type in keywords, trap. Alright, so this one doesn't add anything. Spell Cascade, nope. Arcane Surge, nope. Arcane Surge would go with Dash. Where do I have Dash? Dash is right here, so I could put Arcane Surge with Dash. That way every time I dash, I have a chance to get... So Arcane Surge is one that you would actually not want to level up, because you can see, where is it? Requires level... 4 seconds. Gain Arcane Surge after spending a total of 22 mana. So every 4 times that I cast Dash, I would proc Arcane Surge support and just get more mana regen. So, multiple trap support. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, so no, that's not that good. Although, that might actually be... Let's see. Okay, Explosive Trap. So there's not really anything I have that has 3 sockets. No, I don't really want to use that. So, Lightning Trap I did want to try, because that does a lot of lightning damage. So that might be good. And what was here? Or Blade Trap. No, I don't want that one. Okay, so we're gonna try Fire Trap first, and then the Lightning Trap. So where did I put lightning? Lightning's right here. Fire's right here. No, nothing else I really need to do. So the Lightning Trap is blue, which means that I would have to give up combustion support, but I can do that. What could I put in its place? Added cold damage? Possibly. Anyway. Oh, 2 skill points to use up. So, let's go... Let's get this one first, because this one just looks crazy. So, 4% increase, so... That's 40% increase trigger area, and then 8% increase speed. And then this one just looks awesome, too. Okay. Alright, to Marvel's Caverns. Okay, so the Fire Trap is that. let's just see how this looks. Ooh, that's brutal. Oh no, wait, I'm still using the explosive. I thought I put fire trap in. Bear trap, fire. Okay, I didn't. Oops. There we go. Pretty deadly. So that does 55.9 damage per second. This one, I'm not really sure. But that's quite good. Explosive trap, can I see the damage? So that did 55.9 as well. Oh, that's not right. Didn't I just put... Oh, okay, wrong one. This does 57.5, and if I were to switch this one out and try putting in the poison, how much would this do? Whoa, 124. Alright, let's go with the lightning chop for a while. Just for some fun. And it also poisons too. And if we're fighting against a bunch of water enemies, then go lightning. Okay, so we have to go through the Marble Cave, or the Cavern of Wrath, and then we get the Cavern of Anger, and then after that is when we fight the boss. Okay, so this lightning one is doing a heck of a lot of damage. It doesn't do a lot single target, it seems. So maybe for the boss I'll switch back. Let's actually go back to the fire one. So there, let's put you down here. Let's put the fire trap here. Okay, so the fire trap did how much damage? It did 55.9. Oh, can have up to 17 traps placed at a time. Duration is 1.5 seconds. 1.75 seconds. It's a lot of fire damage per second. Okay, so I think I like what the fire trap does. Because the explosive trap... Okay, so that does... That doesn't do nearly as much damage. Okay, so I definitely like the fire trap better. Alright, let's stick with the fire trap for now. Okay. Enough dilly-dallying around. Time to finish off this act. Yeah, that looks pretty brutal. So up to 17 traps can be placed at once. They don't last all that long, but I mean, if you can get abilities that are going to throw like 10-15 traps at once, then it's just going to really fill up the area so much. Oh, I actually forgot to turn on clarity. Yeah, you can see how quick the mana regen is now. And actually, if I were to put on... So 28% mana increase in that. And... Okay, cold damage, bow... Okay, so we don't want that. Okay, so... My mana regen... Yeah, that's pretty fast mana regen. But... And I don't really take much decrease in the damage either. Okay, so... On we go. And there's the door to the cave, to the Cavern of Anger. So we are almost at the final boss of this act. We are going to kill her off and then just go to the town, and then that's where this one's going to end. Yeah, the trap throwing is actually getting a lot quicker too. I don't think we're going to hit the next level by the time we fight the boss here, but we might hit it just after. And we can actually clear that out of the way. So clarity is going to keep our mana regen pretty fast. And then we can just throw traps like crazy. So the whalebone rapier is not really needed. So throw out a bunch of traps now, then summon the boss. Here. Yeah, I usually do that for anything that, like totems or minions. That way when all the enemies spawn, they just get blown the hell up. Look at that, that's crazy. You know, it's kind of weird that I haven't found anything to upgrade my health potions yet. So Fire Trap just leveled up. So that's quite a bit more damage. We went from 111 per second to 150 per second. There's some areas that it looks like you should be able to dash across, but because of an invisible wall, you're stuck not being able to. Wow, that's some crazy damage. And that's only a level 2 gem now. Alright. I think the entrance to the next area has got to be around here somewhere. You know, I'm actually getting more experience than I thought I would here. There's probably a chance I could level up by the time I fight the boss. And if I do, that's just a huge damage increase. Ooh, heavy bones. What is that? Strength. Okay, so you get cold and fire resist. You know, that's definitely an upgrade. So my cold resist going into the boss is 42%. She is not going to stand a chance. And plenty of health, plenty of energy, shield. Okay, no, I'm not going to level up by the time I face her. So here we go.
This is love's true face!
So she has a few abilities that, she has that stream, so that's pretty easy to dodge, but she casts it pretty quick. And when she teleports, then it kind of becomes a nuisance. So her first phase is down now. Throw out a whole bunch of traps on her. Yeah, her health is dropping really quickly. So yeah, she summons these little tornado things. And if you don't have good cold resist, like on Ruthless, those are brutal.
Just need a moment to catch my breath.
Alright, she is just about dead. There we go, and we got a level up too. So we got a Lapis Amulet. I think that's the mana regen one. Oh no, Lapis is Intellect, Dexterity, Maximum Life. You know, that's actually quite a bit better. So we're going to switch that out with the Pollen Amulets. And nothing else there is worth getting. Okay, so to the Southern Forest. And after you finish the boss and just walk out, you automatically get the waypoint.
Too many damned places to hide in a forest.
Wow, that fire trap is doing some crazy damage. Alright, so what? Let's see here. Yeah, that's really good. Let's see, also faster throwing speed. had much bigger effect. Alright, so this character is really shaping up well. Look at things just melting now. This is actually really fun. Okay. So clarity is going to keep our mana good. We can actually start replacing those mana potions with really anything else. Smoke mine. I don't even know what that is, but yeah, with every season that starts for this game, they add new gems, which can completely change the way the game is played. Alright, so this is Act 2 now. There's a whole bunch of new characters, a few quests. So in this act, a whole bunch of stuff to cover, which I'll do in the next video. Level up our dash gem, level up our swift assembly, talk to Silk, which is the guy up here.
You and me, we are the
So in Act 2, this is where you get your first hideouts. You actually get a choice here, which I'm going to look into a little bit more if I want to keep one of the bandits alive. Each of the bandits, if you decide to spare one, gives you a few really cool abilities, and sometimes that actually turns out better than just having 2 skill points. But it all depends on the build you're doing, and this one I'm kind of winging it, so I might read up a little bit ahead and just see what each one offers and decide beforehand. Or I might just forget by the time I do the next video and then just see what they offer. Let's see. So, yep. So you can see that where the question marks are, there's a quest there. So you have to kill one bandit in each area and then finish all that. I finished everything in Act 1, so the only thing left is just finish off this and then continue on to Act 3. Alright, so I think that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll have more uploaded soon. I want to try and get as far in this season with this character as I can, and then maybe have this be my last, the Crucible character, and then once Forbidden Sanctum comes out, I'll be starting all over again. So, thanks for watching, and more coming soon. Till next time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye!